The first sign that something was wrong came on a Tuesday evening in late October. Laura Hudson unlocked her front door, stepped inside, and found another family living in her house. For a moment, she simply stood there, frozen. A man sat at the kitchen table reading a newspaper. A woman stirred a pot on the stove. A teenage girl worked on homework beneath a hanging light. A golden retriever slept near the fireplace. The smell of dinner filled the air. Everything looked normal. Everything looked lived in. And everything was impossible. Laura's grocery bag slipped from her fingers. Oranges rolled across the hardwood floor. Every head in the room turned toward her. The woman frowned. "Can I help you?" Laura stared. "This is my house." Silence. The man slowly lowered his newspaper. The girl looked up from her notebook. Then, to Laura's horror, the teenager whispered, "Mom, it's happening again." 20 minutes later, police officers were standing in the driveway beneath cold autumn rain. What should have been a simple misunderstanding became something far stranger. County records showed that the property belonged to Jonathan and Catherine Miller. They had lived there for 11 years. Tax records confirmed it. Utility bills confirmed it. Insurance records confirmed it. Yet Laura possessed her own documentation: mortgage papers, tax filings, insurance policies, family photographs. Everything proved that she and her son had lived there for 7 years. The records were equally convincing, equally authentic. Nobody could explain how two completely different histories could exist for the same house. By morning, the story had spread across Cypress Valley, Oregon. News vans arrived. Reporters crowded the neighborhood. Experts proposed theories involving identity theft, database corruption, elaborate fraud. None of them explained the strangest detail. Both families knew every corner of the house: the loose floorboard in the upstairs hallway, the hidden compartment beneath the basement stairs, the initials carved into the backyard fence. Each family remembered creating those details. Each family remembered living those moments, as if two versions of reality had collided. 3 days later, Laura discovered an old photograph hidden inside a box of family belongings. The image showed her house, the exact same house, only the picture had been taken in 1988, long before she had moved there. On the back, someone had written a message in faded blue ink: "When the house remembers, the door will open again." Laura read the sentence 3 times. A chill moved through her. She couldn't explain why, but she felt certain the message had been left specifically for her. That same evening, she saw the girl for the first time. A child stood across the street. White dress, dark hair, bare feet, no coat despite the cold. The girl appeared to be around 12 years old. She watched the house without moving. Laura blinked. A passing car briefly blocked her view. When it passed, the girl was gone. There was nowhere she could have disappeared. Yet, she had vanished. The knocking started the following night. 3 sharp taps, always from inside the walls. Laura searched every room. Nothing. The sound returned an hour later. Closer this time, as if something hidden within the structure of the house was trying to get her attention. By dawn, she was exhausted. The knocking finally stopped, but it left behind a terrible feeling. The feeling that someone was waiting, patiently, listening. A construction crew examined the walls later that week. They found no animals, no pipes, no hollow spaces. Yet behind one section of drywall, they discovered a folded sheet of yellowed paper. The paper contained only 4 words: "Do not open the red door, nothing else. No signature, no explanation." The workers laughed nervously. Laura didn't. Something about the message felt urgent, a warning sent across time. 2 nights later, she found the door. It appeared at the end of the upstairs hallway, a deep red wooden door, old-fashioned, weathered, beautiful, terrifying. Laura was absolutely certain it had never existed before, yet now it looked as though it had always been part of the house. Her heart hammered. She approached slowly. The brass handle felt cold. Then she heard a voice, a child's voice, from the other side. "Not yet." Laura jerked her hand away. The hallway lights flickered. When she looked again, the door remained exactly where it had been, waiting. The next morning, she returned with two police officers. The R. But she also knew what she had seen. Over the next several weeks, strange objects appeared throughout the house. A pocket watch stopped at 9:17, a stack of handwritten letters, a faded ribbon, a child's sketchbook. Every object seemed decades old. Every object felt connected somehow. Alongside them appeared handwritten notes. She waited. They forgot. The house remembers. The messages appeared on mirrors, inside drawers, between pages of books. No matter how many she removed, more appeared. Laura began investigating the history of the property. The answer arrived in the town archives. Before the neighborhood existed, the land had housed a private boarding school for girls. The school burned down in 1974. Most students escaped. Some teachers did not. Official reports listed every victim, except one. A single student appeared to have been erased from the records entirely. Pages were missing. Names were blacked out. Photographs had been cut apart. The deeper Laura looked, the stranger the omissions became. It was as though someone had deliberately removed one person from history. Her search led her to Mary Ellis, a retired librarian who was nearly 90 years old. Mary had lived in Cypress Valley her entire life. She remembered the fire. When Laura mentioned the missing student, the old woman's expression changed. For a long moment she stared through the window. Then she spoke softly. "We all agreed to forget." Forget who? The girl. What girl? Mary's hands trembled. The one who never came out. Laura leaned forward. What was her name? The old woman closed her eyes. A look of confusion crossed her face. Then fear. "I don't remember." "What do you mean?" "I can't remember." Tears filled her eyes. Nobody can. That night, the red door returned. This time, Laura opened it. A corridor stretched beyond, long, impossible, far larger than the dimensions of the house should allow. Dust drifted through pale light. Old wooden doors lined both sides of the hallway. The air smelled faintly of smoke. Laura stepped forward. The corridor seemed alive, not physically, emotionally, filled with memories. Every step felt like moving deeper into someone else's dream. At the far end sat the girl in the white dress, waiting. "You came," the girl said. Laura nodded. "Who are you?" The girl smiled sadly. "I'm the one they forgot." "Why me?" "Because you're listening." The answer sounded simple, yet somehow it felt enormous, as though nobody had listened for a very long time. Over the following weeks, the truth emerged piece by piece. The fire had not been an accident. A series of safety violations had been ignored by wealthy local officials. Repairs were postponed. Warnings were buried. Inspection reports disappeared. When the tragedy occurred, several influential families faced ruin. Instead of accepting responsibility, they controlled the investigation. Evidence vanished. Records were altered. History was rewritten. One victim became inconvenient, and so her existence was erased. The town moved forward. The decades passed. People forgot. But places remember, and some memories refuse to die. "Why did the other family appear?" Laura asked during one of her visits beyond the red door. The girl looked toward the distant darkness of the corridor. "Their memories, too." Memories? The house remembers everyone. Laura finally understood. The Millers were real. They had once lived there. Their lives had become woven into the house itself. Past and present were overlapping. The building had become a container for forgotten stories, a place where lost memories gathered, waiting to be seen. As winter approached, Laura assembled enough evidence to force a public investigation. Old letters surfaced, hidden reports appeared, witnesses came forward. Local newspapers published the story. Then national outlets followed. The truth spread faster than anyone expected. For the first time in 50 years, the town confronted its past. Some residents resisted, others apologized, many simply cried, because they finally understood what had been stolen. Not merely a life, a memory, an identity, a place in history. The following spring, a memorial was built in the center of Cypress Valley. Every known victim of the fire was honored. Names were carved into polished stone. Flowers covered the walkway. Hundreds attended the ceremony. Laura stood among them, searching the crowd. And there she was, the girl in white, standing beneath an oak tree, smiling. And she disappeared. Stutterema Rome. That evening, Laura returned home. The house felt different, lighter somehow, quiet, at peace. She climbed the stairs. The red door was gone. The wall stood unbroken, exactly as it should. Laura smiled, then noticed something written in pencil near the baseboard. Tiny words, almost invisible. She knelt to read them. Now I remember my name. Laura closed her eyes. For a moment she thought she heard distant laughter, not frightening, not sad. The laughter of a child finally going home. And for the first time in decades, the house slept peacefully. So did everyone inside it.